Ethan Carter never imagined that a simple act of kindness during his night shift at Miller's Diner would change his life forever. It was a bitterly cold night in Chicago. The streets were nearly empty, the wind howling through the alleys. Ethan, a 24-year-old waiter, wiped down the counter, preparing for another long night at the small, struggling 24-hour diner. The job wasn't glamorous, but he took pride in it. As he glanced outside, his heart clenched. A frail young boy, no older than 6, sat on the curb, clutching his stomach. His clothes were torn, his face pale. Ethan immediately recognized the signs of hunger. Without hesitation, Ethan stepped outside. "Hey, buddy, are you okay? Where are your parents?" The boy hesitated, but then shook his head. I don't have any," he whispered. Ethan's heart ached. "Come on inside. Let's get you something warm to eat." Inside, Ethan made the boy a fresh plate of pancakes with syrup and a hot cup of cocoa. The boy's eyes lit up as he took the first bite, his small hands trembling. Ethan watched over him, making sure he felt safe. What Ethan didn't realize was that, across the street, a sleek black car was parked. Inside sat a man, watching the scene unfold with deep intrigue. Before we dive into the story, where are you watching from? Before we dive into this gripping story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from and what you would do in Ethan's place. Stay with us as we reveal the heartwarming journey of a waiter who proved that heroes come in all forms. Ethan had always been the type to put others before himself. The small diner was more than just a job to him, it was a lifeline. He worked long hours, often covering extra shifts just to make ends meet. At home, his younger sister Mia depended on him. Their parents had passed away when he was just 19, forcing him to take on the responsibility of raising her and paying for her education. His dream had always been to attend culinary school, but that dream had to wait. His sister came first. Meanwhile, the man in the car, Lawson, known for his sharp business acumen and immense fortune, had built his empire from the ground up. He had met all kinds of people in his lifetime, but something about Ethan's act of kindness struck a chord within him. "People like that are rare," he murmured. "I need to know more." The next night, Lawson returned, this time dressed in simple clothing. He entered the diner, taking a seat at the counter. Ethan greeted him with his usual warm smile. "What can I get you tonight?" Ethan asked. Lawson ordered a small cup of coffee and a sandwich. As he sat, he noticed the young boy from the previous night sitting at the corner booth, now laughing and eating a plate of spaghetti Ethan had made for him. "You take care of all your customers like that?" Lawson asked curiously. Ethan glanced over at the boy and smiled. He needed a warm meal. No kid should have to go hungry. As the night went on, Ethan gave the boy an old coat he had stored in the back. "It's not much, but it'll keep you warm," he said. Lawson watched as Ethan knelt beside the boy, handing him a small box. "What's this?" the boy asked. "It's a note," Ethan replied. "It has the address of a shelter nearby where they'll help you. If you ever need food, you come here, all right?" The boy nodded, eyes brimming with gratitude. Lawson continued to visit the diner over the next few nights, observing Ethan. He saw how he treated every customer with kindness, whether it was an elderly woman struggling with her change or a teenager short on money. Ethan never turned anyone away. Then came the night that would change everything. Lawson placed an envelope under his empty coffee cup before leaving. Inside was a crisp $5,000 bill. Later that night, Ethan found the envelope and gasped. He rushed outside, looking up and down the street, but the man was gone. The following day, Ethan received devastating news. His sister's tuition payment was overdue, and if it wasn't paid within a week, she would be forced to drop out. That night, Ethan worked his shift with a heavy heart. He didn't know what to do. His exhaustion was evident, but he kept pushing forward. Then, just before closing, the same man returned. This time, he wasn't in disguise. "Mind if I sit?" Lawson asked. Ethan nodded, setting down a fresh cup of coffee in front of him. "Tell me, Ethan," Lawson said, "if money wasn't an issue, what would you do with your life?" Ethan hesitated. "Honestly? I'd open a small restaurant. A place where everyone feels welcome, no matter their situation. But dreams don't pay the bills. Lawson reached into his coat pocket and slid a folder across the counter. "Open it," he said. Ethan cautiously flipped it open and froze. Inside was a check for $250,000, enough to cover his sister's tuition and still have funds left over. Ethan's hands trembled. "Sir, I can't accept this. It's too much." Lawson chuckled. "Kindness, Ethan, is the most valuable currency in the world. You've spent your life giving to others. Now it's your turn." Ethan was speechless. For the first time in years, a weight seemed to lift from his shoulders. "I don't know how to thank you," he whispered. "Just promise me one thing," Lawson said. "Use it to build the future you deserve." Months later, Ethan had done just that. He used the money to open his dream restaurant, a small but welcoming place where anyone, rich or poor, could find a warm meal and a kind smile. He hired people who were struggling, including the homeless man and the young boy he had helped that fateful night. His business flourished, not just because of good food, but because of the warmth and compassion he brought to it. One evening, Lawson walked in and took a seat at the counter. Ethan grinned. "Coffee's on the house," he said. Lawson chuckled. "I had a feeling you'd say that." As he left, Lawson slipped a note onto the counter. Ethan opened it and smiled as he read. "You were right. Some things are more valuable than money. Thank you for reminding me." If this story inspired you, take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you helped someone in need? Comment below with your thoughts or a story of kindness you've witnessed. Let's create a world where generosity and humanity thrive. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications for more incredible real-life stories that remind us of the power of goodness. And remember, kindness always finds its way back.